What's going on, guys? This is Richard, aka Cryptohoppers, and I'm here finally doing the video that I had been talking about for a little bit, which is the Cryptohopper video. Cryptohopper is a trading bot, and I got interested in Cryptohopper mainly because of the idea of all these crypto loaning programs where, like BitConnect, Devor, LendConnect, everything else, they claim to be using a trading bot which makes them money, which they supposedly then pass on to everyone else. Whether that's true or not, or it's a Ponzi scheme, that's up for debate. But it got me interested in the idea of a trading bot that might be able to make money passively for me while I'm either sleeping, at work, or whatever the case may be. It kind of works, but it's definitely more work that has to go into this than some of the lending programs. There are other bots that are available that have their pluses and minuses to them. I picked this one for a few different reasons. One is that they offered a 30-day free trial where you didn't have to give them any information whatsoever. They just, other than email and all that type of stuff, they just give you the platform to mess around with, which is a great thing. A lot of the other ones, you don't have an option like that. Like, you're paying up front, and you're paying, in most cases, a minimum of 0.03 Bitcoin to get into those bots. There are a few others out there that are cheaper, but they, for the most part, all don't have one or two major things that Cryptohopper offers. One being Confluence, which I'll get into in a bit, and the other being signaling, which I'll also cover greatly in this video. And if you're interested in looking at Cryptohopper, right now I'm not putting out referral links or anything because I'm still not 100% sold on using them long term. I need to play around a lot more, and I'll show you why. Because I've taken some losses with it. I've made some small gains. I've taken larger losses, but a lot of that's just due to playing around and messing with my settings and trying to figure out what works best. And I think I've got something. And as I continue to do this, I'll keep updating you guys with my progress with my settings. There are some other people on the Discord channel, which I think I'll probably link into the bottom of this video. Everyone's kind of playing around and hopefully sharing things, and I just wanted to share what I'm using and why and what's going on here. So one of the things that we're looking at here on this page are the prices and the price tiers. Right now I'm on the Bunny trial, which is basically the Bunny $20 a month package. With that package, you're basically paying. You're doing what they do. Sorry, getting a little discombobulated here. You get 15 coins that you can select from in your trading pairs. For me, 15's not enough for what I want to do. So I might, if I do buy it, go with one of the higher tiers, whether it's a hare or kangaroo. There's other bonuses to having those as well, which is the running time. So what Cryptohopper does, if you have a strategy that you use, instead of using, if you could just use signals if you want to, and like I said, I'll explain signals in a bit, but if you use your strategy will run every 10 minutes against the 15 coins that you that you picked to be in your hopper. 10 minutes is quite a bit of time, which can lead to just bad purchases, honestly. So, and it still works, I think, but I think that having either the 5 or 2 minute tier that you get with the other hoppers will be a bigger benefit. The other benefit, if you went with the large tier of the kangaroo, is that you get all the coins for your signals. Like, you may not get all the coins that your particular exchange offers, but if you're using the signaling platform, it will, regardless of which, if a signal comes in for a pair that's not in your hopper, apparently it will actually take it. So that's a positive as well. So why don't we take a look at the signals, since I've mentioned that the most. what signals are is an external source that you could subscribe to. Some are free, but the free ones don't really seem to do much, and some cost money. The ones that cost money seem to at least have, if you look here, an insane percentage versus the others. Whether those percentages are real, I think, is up for debate. They have reports that you can look at here that show you what they have signaled people to buy and what their returns are supposedly at. I think some of the differences between what you may see in your hopper versus what they show come into timing, and I'll show you that in a bit. Actually, I'll show you some of that right now, just as a thing to keep in mind and to remember. So they sent a signal at 3:10:56. Keep that in mind. Remember that time. We'll come back to it. But basically, they send a signal with the information. It goes into your hopper, and your hopper automatically purchases it if it's a coin that is in your hopper to use. On your particular exchange as well. So Cryptohopper uses multiple exchanges, or they have multiple exchanges to choose from, including Binance, Bittrex, Poloniex, GDAX, Kraken, and probably one or two others that I can't think of off the top of my head. I'm using Binance because their fees are extremely low. So that's what I'm personally doing right now. I might even switch to Bittrex though, just because of the signaling. Actually, like the signals from Mining Hamster, like if you even look here alone, there's way more signals here for this, and I think that there are other, if you use Bittrex, there are a few other signals that are available that just aren't available with Binance. That being said, I'm also personally though interested in using strategies, and the strategy that I've built myself, which I'll show you right now. So if you go to the config, if you click on config here, it will bring you to your configuration. You can see the external signal here and the base config. And the base config, by default, when you first sign up, the bot's off. So you got to remember to turn it on or it won't trade anything. So you got to turn that on here. The exchange, you can select which mine is Binance. Like I said, there's others available. And very importantly, the base currency. By default, it's Tether. I don't know why. Makes no sense whatsoever to me. I switch it to Bitcoin. If you're using signals, all the signals use Bitcoin. I'm thinking if I get away from using signaling, I might switch to the Binance coin, because the Binance coin will drop the fees in half. I think if you're using Bitcoin on Binance, it's 0.1 for the currency, where it's 0.5 for the trades if you're using the Binance coin. I have my 15 coins selected. As far as how you select your coins, that gets tricky. Sometimes I have different methods of doing it, but honestly, they aren't scientific right now. I want to come up with a scientific method, or I'll upgrade to the Kangaroo hopper and just select all the coins just to deal with that. My strategy, I'm using multiple TA, which is the default, and I'll get into exactly what that is in a bit. These are the other strategies listed. If you just want to do signals or manual trades, you can select that. That's what a lot of people are doing, especially in the down market. They're just taking signals and letting that make the choice for them. Because if you don't know what you're doing with the multiple TA strategy, you might wind up buying a bunch of crap, and which I'll show you in a bit, because when I first signed up, my strategy was definitely screwed. It bought a bunch of crap that it shouldn't have. The number of targets is how many targets your strategy will look at any given time, as far as what it could potentially purchase. I'll show you the advanced settings in a bit. We'll come back to that, because that's a large piece. Percentage profit, I targeted 1% initially, but it's really not being used because of the piece I'll show you. So I stopped the video for a second because I started talking about the trailing stop loss, and I started rambling a bit, so I edited that out because I realized that it's hard for me to explain. I don't understand it, I think, as well as I should. I get it, but for me to explain it is a bit difficult, so I'm not going to explain it to you guys because that could just leave you even more confused than you probably are if you don't understand it. This is what I have it set to. I've experimented in backtesting as well as in production with this, and with the 0.25 and 0.75, and this actually I think worked fairly well for me, and I'll show you that in backtesting in a bit. Some of these other things are defaults. The max open time to sell, well, actually the default for this is 5 minutes. I raised it to 30 just so that if I'm trying to sell something, I'm giving it a bit more time. The max buy time I left it the default to 5. The open positions I lowered to 100. I don't think I can. I think on my trial I can only get to 80 anyway. What I believe the max percentage open position per coin is how many coins, how many of the same coin will you buy? I think, but I'm not 100% positive about that. And if you see this video and I'm wrong, please let me know, because I've actually ran into this issue before where I'm trying to have my system only buy one coin once. And what winds up happening is it'll go through the cycle, it'll determine that, let's just say Aeon, which you'll see in my dashboard. Actually, you know what? We'll just go to my dashboard now, and I'll come back to this. Or not the dashboard, the trade history. Don't get frightened by the red. A lot of this was due to kind of messing around with certain things and experimenting. But using Aeon as the example, it bought Aeon twice. I'm trying to figure out a way to make it just buy the coin once. So it bought it once when it ran the first time because it saw it as a target, and then it bought it a second time 10 minutes, well, just slightly over 10 minutes later, because it still thought that my targets were good for that particular coin. And I've seen, yesterday I had something buy the same coin 3 times, and if you look, like, the price that I bought them at were different because of the differing times. So, and actually we can look at yesterday where it becomes illustrated even more with BNB and BCC, where I bought BCC 3 different times yesterday, and I bought BNB twice. But if you go and look, my BNBs turned to profit each time, but I think one of my BCCs didn't. I'd have to go through and find it, but I'm pretty sure like one of these just sold poorly. Because of the time that it bought, like the difference in time. Plus, at the time, I actually had a stop loss set, which was set a little too aggressively. So my stop loss triggered a sale event. But if I had let it go, it probably would have came back around and actually become profitable again. But that's a whole other ball of wax we'll get into in a bit. Let's go back to the config for a moment. And that is actually why I, at one point, had stop loss configured and enabled. After some experimentation, and which is why you see a lot of red, I disabled that. I'm going to let things ride. I tried to see if I could mitigate the risk by turning stop loss on. It just made it worse. Unfortunately, you might wind up holding a lot of coins that will just be red in your system, but hopefully they will, within a short period of time, they will then go back into the profit, and you can then get rid of them as opposed to selling for a loss. So like I said, hopefully setting this to 100 and having 100 max positions open will only let me buy one of each. If it doesn't, I got to figure that out. To me, that's a huge negative if we can't make it set to only buy one. I'm hoping that it only buys one going forward. We will see. For Binance, the minimum order I think is 0.0025. I've set mine at 0.3, and I've allocated the max BTC that they can use up to 0.03. I have more than that in this account at the moment, which I think I have 0.4045. I'm only letting them kind of play with 0.03 just in case something crazy happens, and I'm experimenting right now, so that's the most I'm kind of willing to risk at the moment in this account. Which isn't a whole right now because Bitcoin's down. That's only about $250, I guess. But yeah, you can turn notifications on. So with these on, when these events happen, they send me an email message that I can then go back and look at. So let's go back to the advanced TA settings that I have, and this is where things get really interesting. Actually, this is where you kind of want to do some research if you're going to use this bot and use TA settings, just to understand what some of this means. Because a while back, long time ago, I did research on how to trade stocks and everything else, but I forgot a whole lot of that. And plus, there are new strategies that didn't exist when I first started looking. These strategies, some of them are old school strategies, and some are kind of new that I'd never heard of before. So my candle size, the default, and by the way, if you're going to leave the multiple TA strategies on, immediately come look at this thing, because it says here default enabled for a whole lot of this stuff. It's not true. A lot of the stuff was not enabled when I went and looked, and it caused me to buy stuff that just caused a whole lot of bags. And if you're not familiar with the term, bags basically is when you're holding a lot of stuff in the red, basically. So it said a lot of the stuff was enabled. It was not, and caused big problems for me. So my strategy is 15 minutes with the candle size. You can go 5, but 5 is kind of risky. With my back testing that I've done, I found that 15 looks good. 30, I tried 30 for a bit, and that caused some losses for me. When I dropped it down to 15, I think that is the best way to go. So these are some of the strategies that you have available to choose from. And I'm enabling stochastic RSI, and Bollinger Bands. I've tried enabling MACD, but even in back testing, I can't get it to purchase with these other settings together. So MACD, EMA, and I'll get into what some of this is in a little bit, the Kaufman AMA and SMA. So what these kind of stand for, if you want to look them up, and you should try to investigate it some if you're going to get into this. SMA is a simple moving average, EMA, and we can kind of look at this here actually. The simple moving average by default looks, I believe, at, actually let me scroll down and just see if I can't find it right now. The default is either 14 or 21 days, where it just kind of looks at your the history of a coin and tracks it and says, okay, well, here are the dips, here's the raises. Based on what I'm seeing, I'm predicting it will do X. I think in the regular stock market, maybe that helps some. With the volatility of our cryptocurrency, I don't think SMA is super valuable. EMA is an exponential moving average, where basically and there's also WMA, which you'll see here in a bit, but both of those kind of weigh the time better. So like if it was 14 days ago, it'll kind of give it a certain weight, but as it gets closer to the current time period is when it really starts to kind of matter. So that's why EMA is interesting. Kaufman, adaptive moving average, that and the Mesa adaptive moving average are kind of important, and you'll see me using those quite a bit here in my examples. So for the initial settings here, a lot of these things I've left default. I've changed this from SMA to DEMA, and DEMA is basically the double exponential moving average. And if you look, you can look at all the things you can choose from. I prefer the Mesa adaptive moving average for when I can select it, and it'll let you select it here, but what I found is it will not buy with MAMA on for some of these settings, so I left it at DEMA. There's also, if you can't guess, the triple exponential moving average. This one's the triangle moving average here. I don't know what T3 is. That's something I've never seen before using this program. So I have DEMA set there. I changed this from 20 to 40. I've noticed with backtesting that that seems to work a bit better with the oversold threshold being set to 40. And I might do some more playing around with a lot of these numbers just to see where things actually work. And as I keep upgrading them and updating them, if I have better performance, I'll let you guys know. So a lot of these that are kind of gray-ish, these are the defaults, like I didn't change them. So here you can see, oh wait, actually let me go back up a bit. So by default, a lot of these are set to it not being necessary for to buy the signal. And what that means is if it finds a target of, let's just say, ion or something of that nature, it will look at that. It will look at all of your coins in your hopper. Let's just say the 15 coins that are in your hopper currently, and it'll go through each one of those and then check against all of the settings that I have listed here. It checks against those and then says, okay, it meets this criteria. So for stochastic, if it doesn't meet the criteria and I have this enabled, it won't buy it. If I don't have this enabled and it doesn't meet the criteria, it may still purchase it if it comes back with a neutral. So I want to have stochastic, well, basically all the ones I turned on up here, I have them selected down here as you must have a buy signal on all of these. And what that's called is, it's called confluence or confluency, where you have multiple trading strategies all agreeing that, hey, this is a good idea, this is a buy, we should buy this. If you look at other bots, that's one of the reasons why Cryptohopper is kind of cool. Other bots don't really seem to give you multiple options. They usually are just like, oh, you can use the Bollinger Band strategy, or you can use RSI, or whatever the case may be. But this allows you to pick multiple strategies and have them all agree on the idea of this is a good bet. And if all of these don't match, don't buy it. What this can also lead to is fewer trades. Like, I'm probably buying a lot less than some people are because I've said just use, if you don't all agree, don't buy it. For me, I'd rather be kind of safe and have fewer buys and less bags, and hopefully this will get me there. So where was I previously? somewhere in this ballpark range. I'll just keep scrolling down slowly with some of this. I've changed this also from 20 to 40. RSI, or the stochastic RSI, I made that a necessity. I made RSI a necessity. Again, 20 to 40. And I've actually got to go back and play with some of that in back testing just to verify that I didn't screw something up in doing all of that. But I think that that based on what I've seen in back testing, that the 40 range is a positive. So the other thing I played around with a lot that's definitely given me some advantages, I think, are the Bollinger Bands periods. I changed to 15 instead of 20, and I've messed around with a whole lot of things here. Again, using the MAMA strategy, the Mesa Adaptive Moving Average strategy, as just a thing. You guys can try it, play around, mess around with back testing, because that is your friend. It will help you tremendously analyze what you're doing right or wrong, because and I'll show you back testing now if you are unfamiliar with what this is. And by the way, I don't remember if I even mentioned at the start of this video, Cryptohopper themselves has, if you scroll down here, they have videos that you can look at. Their academy is basically a series of videos that will explain exactly how a lot of this stuff works. And it's good initially. There's definitely things that just I feel like are missing. I hope they make more videos for some advanced things to discuss, but it's good to get you off the ground at least, and then get you running. So back testing, what I do is I will go to the config tester, load my existing configuration, and it will allow you to pick from the coins that are listed here, which I picked in my hopper at the moment. So Ion, which is one that I wound up purchasing yesterday, unfortunately, I think. If I hit start backtest, it goes and shows you exactly where things kind of lay and what they wound up doing. Now, this actually wasn't the configuration I had yesterday. I made modifications because, like I said previously, I had a stop loss enabled and it was at 4. So right now, this was without the stop loss enabled. Maximum percentage is 8.16, 9 successful trades, no losses. If I hit start backtest again now with the stop loss enabled, you see that dropped tremendously, and there was a loss here. So that's kind of what's cool about this platform, and this is actually about what I lost, unfortunately, because I had that stop loss enabled. Again, I'll show you, disable the stop loss, rerun the back test, and things are good. So yeah, this is Cryptohopper. I'm going to keep playing with it. I might buy a kangaroo package at some point. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure where I'm going to go with this yet. There are certain things that I like about it, and there's certain things I'm still a little iffy on. And I might have to pay a bit of money just to see if I'm good with it. I might pay $99 for 1 month just to see where it goes, and then after that, maybe I'll cancel the subscription if I'm not happy. But you guys can follow along with my journey and see where things go. Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button below.